Ethan was just an ordinary man living in a small city on Earth. He worked as an engineer at a local company, and his days were mostly quiet and uneventful. One evening, after finishing dinner alone in his apartment, he heard his phone vibrate on the kitchen counter. At first, he thought it was another work message, or maybe something from his parents. But when he checked the screen, he saw a name he had not seen in years. Alex was an old friend from college. They had not talked much since Alex left Earth to work in the Intergalactic Union. It had been a surprise when Alex got that job, and it was even more of a surprise to get a message from him now. The message was short and a little strange. Ethan, it's Alex. I need you to meet me at the old landing field outside the city at 9 tonight. Please come alone. It's important. Ethan frowned at the screen. He did not know what to think. The old landing field was rarely used. Sometimes ships landed there when they did not want attention. Maybe Alex was in trouble, or maybe he just wanted to meet in private. After a moment, Ethan sent a quick reply, saying he would be there. He spent the next hour wondering about all the possible reasons Alex wanted to see him. Was it something about their past? Did Alex need help, or was it something else entirely? Finally, he put on his jacket, grabbed his keys, and went out into the cool night air. The drive to the landing field was quiet. The road was empty, and only the sound of the car's engine broke the silence. When Ethan reached the field, he parked near the edge, where the ground was firm. He looked around and saw a small ship parked in the center. Its lights were soft blue, and it looked newer than most ships Ethan had seen before. Ethan got out of the car and stood waiting. He saw a figure coming toward him from the ship. It was Alex, looking a bit older than the last time Ethan saw him, but still smiling in that same friendly way. Ethan! It's so good to see you, Alex said, giving him a quick hug. Thanks for coming. Ethan smiled back, though he was nervous. No problem. You said it was important. What's going on? Alex looked around as if to make sure they were alone. Then he gestured for Ethan to follow him toward the ship. I have something, or rather, someone I want you to meet. Ethan followed Alex, his mind spinning with questions. As they reached the ramp of the ship, Alex stopped and turned to him. This might be a shock, but please try to be open-minded. She's very special. Before Ethan could ask what Alex meant, someone stepped down the ramp. She was tall, almost as tall as Ethan, and her hair was a deep shade of silver blue that shimmered in the light. Her skin was a soft pale color with a faint glow, and her eyes were large and bright, a color somewhere between violet and blue. She wore a simple dress that looked both elegant and comfortable. Ethan stared, not sure what to say. Alex smiled gently. Ethan, this is Lyra. She's from the Yulani people. Lyra, this is my friend Ethan. Lyra stepped forward and smiled at Ethan. Her voice was soft but clear. Hello, Ethan. I am pleased to meet you. Ethan could only manage a small, nervous smile. Hi, nice to meet you too. Alex looked at both of them and nodded. Lyra is here as part of a special agreement between Earth and the Yulani. She has chosen to come to Earth and live with a human companion. And, I thought of you. Ethan's eyes went wide. Wait, you thought of me? To live with an alien? Alex nodded. Yes, you're kind, patient, and open-minded. I trust you more than anyone. Lyra knows about Earth and wanted someone who would treat her with respect. Lyra looked at Ethan, studying him gently. I asked many questions about humans. Alex said you would not judge me for being different. Ethan tried to make sense of everything. So, you want me to, take care of her? Be her friend? Alex nodded. Yes, if you're willing. Lyra is here by choice. She wants to learn about humans, to understand Earth, and maybe build something special. You're not forced to do anything, but I hope you'll give her a chance. Ethan looked at Lyra, who waited patiently, her eyes calm. He realized she looked nervous too. He took a slow breath. Okay, I can try. I can help her learn about Earth. Alex's face relaxed in relief. Thank you, Ethan. You're doing something good. Lyra, do you have your things? Lyra nodded and lifted a small silver case. She looked around the field, then back at Ethan. I am ready. Alex walked them to Ethan's car. As they walked, Alex spoke quietly. Ethan, I know this is a lot. If you ever need help, contact me. Lyra is a wonderful person. Just be patient with each other. Ethan nodded, still feeling like he was in a dream. He opened the car door for Lyra, and she smiled as she got in. He drove her to his apartment in silence, unsure what to say. Lyra watched the world pass by. Outside, her eyes wide with wonder, when they reached Ethan's apartment, he showed Lyra inside. She looked around carefully, taking in everything. The apartment was simple, but Ethan kept it clean. Lyra touched the back of the couch, looked at the photos on the wall, and smiled at the cat sleeping in the corner. What is her name? Lyra asked, pointing to the cat. That's Molly, Ethan said. She's shy with strangers. Lyra crouched down and held out her hand. Molly sniffed her fingers, then rubbed her head against them. Lyra smiled. She is kind. I like her. Ethan could not help but smile. He led Lyra to the guest room, which was clean and ready for visitors. You can stay here. If you need anything, just ask. Lyra set her case on the bed and looked at Ethan. Thank you, Ethan. This is all new to me, but I want to learn. Ethan nodded. It's new to me too. I'll try to help. The evening was quiet. Lyra looked at the small window in her room and then back at Ethan. Is it safe here? She asked. Yes. If you need anything, my room is across the hall, Ethan replied. Lyra nodded, then sat on the bed. On Yulani, our homes are open. We share everything. I will try to follow your ways. Ethan laughed quietly. You can ask me anything. We can figure it out together. He left Lyra to settle in and went to his own room. He lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling. He could not believe what had just happened. An alien woman, sent to him by an old friend, was now staying in his apartment. Ethan wondered if he was dreaming, but when he heard the soft sound of Lyra's voice talking to the cat in the other room, he knew it was real. The next morning, Ethan woke early. He found Lyra sitting at the kitchen table, looking out the window. She smiled when he came in. Good morning, Ethan, she said. Good morning, Lyra, he replied. Did you sleep well? Yes, the bed is soft and Molly kept me company. Ethan made some toast and poured a glass of orange juice for Lyra. She took a small sip and smiled. This is sweet. I like it. Ethan felt less nervous now. Lyra seemed kind and curious, not scary or strange. He tried to remember everything Alex had said. Do you want to see the city later? He asked. Double quotes. Yes, I would like that, Lyra answered. They spent the morning talking. Lyra asked many questions about Earth, about why people did things a certain way, and about the things Ethan liked. She told him about her home on Yulani, about her family, and about the stars that shined green in her sky. By the end of the day, Ethan felt a little more comfortable. He realized that Lyra was not so different, even though she came from another world. She laughed at his jokes and tried to help him make dinner. She watched him carefully, learning everything she could. That night, as Ethan lay in bed, he thought about Alex and the strange gift he had received. He did not know what would happen next, but he was sure his life was about to change forever. And for the first time in a long while, he felt. Ethan woke up early the next day. Sunlight was coming through the window, and he could hear a soft sound coming from the kitchen. When he walked in, he saw Lyra sitting at the table. She was watching the toaster carefully, and when the bread popped up, she jumped a little and then laughed at herself. Molly, the cat, sat near her feet and watched her every move. Good morning, Lyra, Ethan said, trying to sound calm and friendly. Good morning, Ethan. I am learning to use this machine, Lyra said, pointing at the toaster. It is interesting, Ethan smiled and showed her how to put butter and jam on the toast. Lyra watched him, copying his movements. She tasted the toast and nodded. It is sweet and soft. We do not have bread like this on Yulani. They ate breakfast together. Ethan was not sure what to say at first, but Lyra asked many questions. She wanted to know about simple things, like why people drank coffee in the morning, why humans had pets, and why houses on Earth look so different from homes on her world. Ethan answered each question as best as he could. He learned that Yulani homes were open and full of plants. Their people liked to gather together in the evenings and share stories. After breakfast, Ethan needed to go to work, but he did not want to leave Lyra alone. He told her about his job at the engineering company and explained he would be gone for a few hours. Lyra listened and nodded. I understand. I can read and learn while you are gone. Ethan set out some books and showed her how to use the television. He showed her a few simple channels, and Lyra promised she would not touch anything else. Before he left, he gave her his phone number and told her to call if she needed help. Ethan spent the day thinking about Lyra. At work, it was hard to focus. He wondered if she was safe, if she was bored, or if she felt lonely. His boss, Mr. Carter, noticed Ethan was distracted. Is everything all right, Ethan? Mr. Carter asked. Ethan nodded. Just some things at home. I'll be fine. He decided not to tell anyone about Lyra yet. He knew people might not understand, and he wanted to protect her privacy. When the workday finally ended, Ethan drove home as quickly as he could. When he walked through the door, he found Lyra sitting on the floor with Molly. She had built a small tower out of books and was laughing as the cat tried to climb it. You're home, Lyra said, looking up with a big smile. Yes, I'm back, Ethan said, feeling relief. Did you have a good day? Yes, I read about your world. There is much to learn, Lyra replied. I watched a program about animals. Earth animals are very different from ours. Some are small and some are very large. On Yulani, most animals live in the forests, and they do not come near our homes. Ethan smiled. We have zoos here. Maybe I can take you one day. Lyra nodded. I would like that. After dinner, Ethan took Lyra on a walk around the neighborhood. At first, people stared. Some neighbors waved, but others whispered or just watched from a distance. Ethan felt uncomfortable, but Lyra did not seem to notice. She looked at the trees, the birds, and the children playing in a nearby park. What do you think? Ethan asked as they walked. It is peaceful, Lyra said. The children laugh the same way as Yulani children. It makes me happy. Ethan liked hearing that. As they passed by an older couple sitting on their porch, the woman called out, Hello! Ethan, who's your friend? Ethan stopped and introduced Lyra. This is Lyra. She's visiting from far away, the woman smiled. Welcome, Lyra. It's nice to meet you. Lyra bowed her head politely. Thank you. I'm happy to be here. After the walk, Ethan and Lyra sat on the couch in the living room. Lyra was quiet for a moment. Then she spoke softly. People are curious about me. Are they afraid? Ethan shook his head. Maybe a little, but mostly they are surprised. Not many people have seen someone from another planet. Lyra nodded. On Yulani, we are also surprised when we see new people, but we try to welcome them. They talked more about their homes and their families. Lyra told Ethan about her parents, who worked as teachers, and her younger sister, who liked to sing. She said she missed them but wanted to try something new. She explained that Yulani people believed in building bridges between worlds, not just traveling as visitors. Ethan listened and realized how brave Lyra was. She had left everything she knew to come to Earth. He respected her even more. The next day, Ethan took Lyra to a small market in town. People stared again, but Lyra smiled at everyone. She tried new foods, asked questions about everything she saw, and thanked the shopkeepers for their help. Ethan saw the way people slowly changed. Some still looked nervous, but others smiled. Back dock as they walked home, Lyra carried a small bag of fruit. People are kind when you are kind to them, she said. I hope I can be a good guest here. You're doing great, Ethan replied. Back at home, Lyra helped Ethan cook dinner. She learned how to chop vegetables and how to use the stove. She told Ethan about Yulani food, which used a lot of sweet spices and fruit. They laughed when Lyra tried to flip pancakes and accidentally dropped one on the floor. Molly was quick to eat it, and they both laughed harder. After dinner, Lyra sat on the floor and showed Ethan how to make a small Yulani game using colored stones. The game was simple, but it made them both laugh. As they played, Lyra told Ethan about her dreams. I want to learn everything about your world. I want to find a place where I belong. Ethan nodded. You can belong here if you want. Lyra looked at Ethan and smiled. Thank you, Ethan. I think we will be good friends. Over the next few days, Ethan and Lyra fell into a simple routine. Ethan went to work during the day, and Lyra learned about Earth by reading. watching television and exploring the apartment. In the evenings, they cooked together, talked, and sometimes went for walks. One night, Ethan found Lyra standing by the window, looking at the stars. She seemed sad, so he asked, "Are you all right?" Lyra nodded. "I am just thinking about my family. On Yulani, we watch the stars every night. It helps us feel close to each other." Ethan stood next to her. "Do you want to call them?" Lyra shook her head. "It is hard to call from here, but I know they are thinking of me." Ethan tried to comfort her. "If you ever want to talk, I'm here." Lyra smiled softly. "Thank you, Ethan. You are very kind." A few days later, Ethan's neighbor, Mrs. Jenkins, came by with a pie. She wanted to meet Lara. Lyra greeted her politely and thanked her for the pie. Mrs. Jenkins asked many questions, but Lyra answered them all with patience. Soon, word spread that Ethan had a special guest. Some neighbors were curious, others unsure, but as Lyra continued to be polite and friendly, more people began to accept her. At work, Ethan's boss asked him if everything was okay at home. Ethan thought for a moment, then decided to tell him the truth. "I have a guest from another planet staying with me," Ethan said quietly. Mr. Carter blinked, surprised. "Really? Well, that's new. Is she nice?" Ethan nodded. "She's very nice. She just wants to learn about Earth." Mr. Carter laughed and shook his head. "Well, as long as she doesn't blow up the office, I guess it's fine." Ethan felt better. He realized that people might not understand everything at first, but with time, they could accept someone different. Every day, Ethan and Lyra learned more about each other. They made mistakes and sometimes misunderstood each other, but they always tried to talk things through. Lyra learned to use a computer and even sent a short message to her family. Ethan helped her learn about Earth's history and culture. One evening, as they sat outside, Lyra looked at Ethan. "I am glad Alex chose you. I feel safe with you." Ethan smiled. "I'm glad you're here, Lyra. I think we make a good team." They sat together in the quiet evening, watching the sky. The stars above seemed a little closer, and for the first time, both Ethan and Lyra felt like they belonged, not just to their own worlds, but to something new they were building together. Lyra was getting used to living on Earth, but every day brought something new for her to learn. One morning, Ethan left for work as usual. He promised to come home early so they could visit a small park. Lyra watched him go, feeling happy that she had a friend in this new world. Lyra spent her morning reading about Earth history. She liked stories about explorers and people who traveled far from home, just like her. After some time, she noticed people outside were looking up at her window and pointing. Lyra was a little worried, but tried to smile and wave. Some children waved back, and that made her smile. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Lyra opened it and saw two men and a woman. They wore dark suits and looked very serious. One of them showed a badge and said, "Hello, we are from the local government office. Are you Lyra?" Lyra nodded politely. "Yes, I am Lyra." The man spoke kindly, but with a serious tone. "We have questions about your stay here. May we come in?" Lyra let them inside and offered them seats. She remembered how Ethan always offered tea or water, so she did the same. The officials smiled at her politeness. They asked her many questions about why she came to Earth, who invited her, and if she felt safe. Lyra answered all their questions. "Honestly, I came to learn about humans. I want to build a good friendship between our people," she explained. "Ethan is my friend. He is kind, and I am happy here." The woman nodded. "We are glad to hear that. Some people in the neighborhood are curious. They just want to make sure everyone is safe." Lyra smiled and said, "I understand. On my planet, people worry about strangers too." After the officials left, Lyra felt a little nervous. She sat with Molly the cat and talked softly to her. "I hope I answered their questions well. I do not want to make trouble for Ethan." Molly purred in her lap, and Lyra felt a little better. Later that afternoon, Ethan came home early as promised. He found Lyra in the living room, holding Molly. "Is everything all right?" he asked when he saw her worried face. Lyra told Ethan about the visit from the officials. Ethan listened carefully and nodded. "They just want to make sure everyone is safe," he said. "You did the right thing." Thank you for being honest with them. Lyra felt better after hearing Ethan's words. I was a little afraid, but I want to do things the right way, Ethan smiled. You are doing great. People just need time to understand. That evening, Ethan kept his promise and took Lyra to the park. The park was full of people enjoying the warm weather. Some recognized Lyra and stared, but others just smiled and went about their day. Ethan showed Lyra the big trees, the small lake, and the ducks swimming in the water. Lyra was fascinated by everything. She asked Ethan about the children playing nearby. Do all human children go to school? She asked. Ethan explained how children went to school to learn, just like on Yulani. They learn to read, write, and do math. They also learn about history and science. Lyra nodded. On Yulani, we start school at 5 years old. We learn about our world and about the stars. Ethan listened as Lyra described her home. She spoke of colorful gardens, tall crystal towers, and music that played in the air. He liked hearing about Yulani and wished he could see it for himself someday. As they walked back home, Lyra stopped and pointed to the sky. Your stars look different from mine, but they are beautiful. Ethan smiled. Maybe one day I can see your stars too. The next day at work, Ethan noticed that his coworkers were acting strange. They whispered to each other and looked at him when they thought he wasn't watching. During lunch, one of them, Mike, came over and sat with Ethan. So is it true you're living with an alien? Mike asked, trying to sound casual. Ethan nodded. Her name is Lyra. She's from the Yulani people. Mike raised his eyebrows. What's it like? Is she weird? Ethan shook his head. No, she's actually very nice. She just wants to learn about our world. A few other coworkers joined in, curious and full of questions. Some made silly jokes, but Ethan answered them all. He told them Lyra was kind, smart, and wanted to help humans understand her people. Some people still looked unsure, but others seemed interested. After work, Ethan stopped by a small shop and bought flowers. He thought Lyra might like them. When he got home, he found her sitting on the floor, looking at a tablet. She was learning English words and writing them in a notebook. These are for you, Ethan said, handing her the flowers. Lyra's eyes lit up. They are beautiful. Thank you, Ethan. She placed the flowers in a glass of water and put them on the table. On Yulani, we give flowers as a sign of friendship, she said. That's the same here, Ethan replied. One evening as they were cleaning up after dinner, the doorbell rang. Ethan opened the door and found a young woman holding a small camera and a notebook. She introduced herself as Kelly, a reporter from the local newspaper. Can I ask you a few questions about your new friend? Kelly asked politely. Ethan looked at Lyra, who nodded. We can answer some questions. Kelly sat with them and asked about how they met, what Lyra thought of Earth, and if she missed her home. Lyra answered each question with honesty and kindness. I miss my family, but I am happy to be here. I want to help people see that we are not so different, Lyra said. Kelly took some notes and asked if she could take a photo. Lyra agreed, and they posed together with Molly the cat. Kelly thanked them and promised to write a nice story. The next morning, Ethan found their photo and story in the local newspaper. The headline read, Human and Alien Build Friendship in Our City. The story was kind and made both of them smile. After that, more people wanted to meet Lyra. Some invited her to visit their homes, while others brought small gifts. One neighbor brought homemade cookies, and another gave Lyra a book about Earth's animals. Lyra was happy to make new friends, but sometimes she felt tired. She told Ethan, It is nice to meet people, but sometimes I need quiet time. Ethan understood. You don't have to say yes to everyone. You can rest when you need to. Lyra nodded and thanked him. She liked that Ethan always listened and tried to understand her. One evening, Lyra showed Ethan something special. She took out a small device from her silver case. It glowed with a soft blue light. This is a Yulani learning stone, she explained. It helps people share ideas and feelings. If you hold it and think about something, the other person can feel your thoughts. Ethan was surprised. Can I try it? Lyra nodded. She placed the stone in Ethan's hand and held her own hand on top. Close your eyes and think about something happy. Ethan closed his eyes and thought about the day he first got Molly. He remembered how small and soft she was, how she purred when he held her. Suddenly he felt a warm, happy feeling in his chest. When he opened his eyes, Lyra was smiling. "I felt it," she said. "It was a good memory." Ethan was amazed. "That's incredible. Can you always do that?" Lyra nodded. "Yulani used this to help understand each other. It helps us when words are not enough." Ethan felt even closer to Lyra after that. He understood now how special her people were and how much they could learn from each other. In the following days, Ethan and Lyra began to teach each other more. Lyra showed Ethan how to use the learning stone, and Ethan taught her how to ride a bicycle. They laughed when Lyra fell, but she got back up and tried again. Soon, she could ride down the street with Ethan cheering her on. One day, they visited a museum. Lyra was fascinated by the art and old machines. She asked many questions, and the guide was happy to answer. Some visitors stared, but most were friendly. Ethan felt proud to show Lyra his world, and Lyra was proud to share her own knowledge with him. Their friendship grew stronger every day. Ethan realized he was happier than he had been in a long time. He liked having Lyra around, and he looked forward to each new day with her. One evening, as they watched the sunset together, Ethan said, "I'm glad you came to Earth, Lyra." Lyra smiled. "I am glad too, Ethan. I think I am finally finding my place here." The sky turned pink and gold, and they sat together, feeling at peace, ready for whatever would come next. Lyra was becoming a part of Ethan's life in ways he had never imagined. He was happy to see her learning new things and making friends, but he also noticed that not everyone in town liked the idea of a human living with an alien. Some people stared at them with cold eyes or whispered behind their backs. Ethan tried to ignore it, but he worried about Lyra. One afternoon, as Ethan was working on his computer, his phone rang. It was his mother calling to say she and his father wanted to visit. Ethan knew his parents cared about him, but he was nervous about how they would react to Lyra. The next day, his parents arrived in the afternoon. They brought a homemade cake and greeted Ethan with warm hugs. Then they saw Lyra standing quietly in the living room. She wore a simple blue dress and tried to smile politely. "Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Miller," Lyra said in a soft voice. Ethan's mother looked surprised, but tried to smile. "Hello, Lyra. It's nice to meet you." His father shook her hand, his eyes full of questions. "So, you're the guest Ethan told us about," Lyra nodded. "Yes, I am from Yulani. Thank you for welcoming me." They all sat in the living room. Ethan served tea and cake, trying to keep the conversation easy. His mother asked Lyra about her family and her home. Lyra answered each question kindly, telling them about the green skies of Yulani, the tall crystal towers, and how her people loved music and learning. Ethan could feel the tension in the room. His parents tried to be polite, but he saw the worry in their eyes. Later, when Lyra went to her room, Ethan's mother spoke softly. "Ethan, are you sure this is a good idea? She seems nice, but she's so different. What will people say?" Ethan tried to explain. "She's kind and smart. She just wants to belong. Please, give her a chance." His father sighed. "It's not just about us. People talk. They might not understand." Ethan shook his head. "That's why we have to show them there's nothing to be afraid of." His parents agreed to stay for dinner. Lyra helped cook and set the table. She tried hard to show respect and kindness, even asking his parents about their lives. Ethan's mother told her about the flowers in their garden, and Lyra listened closely, asking questions and smiling at their stories. After dinner, as Ethan's parents were leaving, his mother hugged him. "We will try to understand, Ethan. Just be careful." Lyra stood by the door and thanked them for visiting. When the door closed, she turned to Ethan. "Did I do something wrong?" Ethan shook his head. "No, Lyra, you were wonderful. It just takes time for people to get used to something new." That night, Lyra sat by her window, looking at the stars. Ethan sat with her, and they talked about family. Lyra admitted she missed her parents, especially during difficult times. "I sometimes feel lonely," she said quietly. "Even when people are kind, I know I am not like them." Ethan nodded. "You're not alone, Lyra. I'm here for you." A few days later, Something unexpected happened. A tall woman with silver hair and a long coat knocked at Ethan's door. She introduced herself as Vara, a representative from Yulani. Vara said she was visiting Earth to check on Yulani citizens and to make sure they were safe and happy. Ethan invited her inside, and Lyra greeted Vara in their own language. Vara asked many questions about Lyra's life on Earth. She wanted to know if Lyra was being treated well, if she was comfortable, and if she missed home. Lyra answered honestly, telling Vara about her new life, her new friends, and how she was learning new things every day. Vara listened carefully, then turned to Ethan. You are responsible for Lyra's safety and happiness. It is not easy. Many do not understand our ways. Ethan nodded. I know, but I care about Lyra. I want her to feel safe here. Vara seemed satisfied, but told Lyra, if you ever need help, you can contact me. After Vara left, Lyra seemed quiet. Ethan asked if she was worried, but Lyra shook her head. Vara cares about me, but she also wants to make sure Yulani people are respected. I want to make her proud, but sometimes I feel homesick. Ethan reached out and held her hand. Gently. It's okay to miss home. You can always talk to me. Lyra smiled, feeling a little better. Thank you, Ethan. You helped me feel less alone. That week, rumors began to spread in town. Some people said Ethan was doing something wrong by living with an alien. Others said Lyra was dangerous. One night, when Ethan and Lyra walked to the store, a group of teenagers shouted rude things at them from across the street. Lyra lowered her head, but Ethan kept walking, holding her hand. When they got home, Ethan was angry. People can be so unfair, he said. Lyra put her hand on his arm. They are afraid. I will not let it hurt me. I am used to being different. Ethan admired her strength, but he still worried. He decided to talk to his closest neighbors. He explained that Lyra meant no harm and just wanted to learn about Earth. Some listened and promised to treat her kindly, while others said nothing. One evening, Mrs. Jenkins, the kind neighbor who had brought pie before, came to visit. She brought Lyra a small plant as a gift. I thought you might like this for your room, Mrs. Jenkins said. Lyra's face lit up. Thank you. It reminds me of home. Mrs. Jenkins smiled and told Lyra, I think you're very brave. Don't let anyone make you feel unwelcome. That night, Lyra placed the plant on her windowsill. She touched the leaves and felt a little more at home. Another day, Ethan took Lyra to a small community event at the park. There were food stalls, games, and music. Some people watched them, but others smiled and greeted them. Lyra tried new foods, listened to music, and even danced with the children. She laughed as she learned the steps to a simple Earth dance. Ethan's heart felt full as he watched Lyra laugh and enjoy herself. He saw that some people were changing their minds about her. When Lyra helped a little girl who fell and scraped her knee, the girl's mother thanked her. See, Lyra, Ethan said later, you're making a difference. But even with these good moments, Lyra still struggled with feelings of homesickness. She sometimes dreamed of Yulani, of the gardens, and the music of her home. She told Ethan about these dreams, and he listened with care. One evening, when Lyra seemed especially sad, Ethan sat beside her and said, You can always talk to me about Yulani. I want to know everything about your home. Lyra smiled and told Ethan about a festival on Yulani, where everyone decorated their homes with bright lights and sang songs together under the green sky. She explained how her family would sit together and share stories. Ethan thought for a moment, then said, Why don't we make a festival here, just for us? We can decorate the house and cook something special. You can teach me one of your songs. Lyra's eyes sparkled with hope. That would make me very happy. So together they made colorful decorations using paper and lights. Lyra cooked a sweet fruit dish from her planet, and Ethan helped as best as he could. That night, they sang one of Lyra's favorite songs. The melody was soft and full of longing, but it brought comfort to them both. Afterward, Lyra hugged Ethan. Thank you for trying to understand. You make Earth feel like home. Ethan hugged her back. You're part of my family now. Slowly, Ethan's parents began to visit more often. His mother brought flowers from her garden and helped Lyra plant them outside the apartment. His father showed Lyra how to fix simple things around the house. They still asked questions and worried about what others might say. But they saw how happy Ethan and Lyra were together. Little by little, more people in town accepted Lyra. They saw she was gentle and helpful, always ready with a smile or a kind word. Lyra still missed her home, but she knew she was building a new life on Earth with Ethan and with new friends who cared about her. Ethan and Lyra were growing closer every day. Their bond was strong, built on trust and gentle kindness. Lyra felt more at home on Earth, but she still carried a quiet strength inside her. One afternoon, they sat in the living room reading books. Molly slept on a cushion nearby. Suddenly, a loud noise came from outside. They rushed to the window and saw a small group of people gathered at the end of the street. Some held signs and shouted harsh words. Ethan felt his heart race. He knew trouble had come back. Lyra stood beside him, calm but alert. Ethan grabbed her hand. "We need to see what's happening." They went outside. The group was made of rough-looking men and women. One man yelled, "Get the alien out of our neighborhood," another shouted. "Humans belong to humans." Lyra's face stayed steady, but Ethan felt anger and fear inside him. A woman from the group threw a bottle that shattered near Ethan's feet. Lyra gasped. Ethan pulled her back. "Let's go inside," he said firmly. Lyra followed him, but a teenager kicked at the front door. Ethan and Lyra got inside and locked the door. They could hear angry voices outside. Ethan pressed his back against the door, breathing fast. Lyra stood quietly. She placed her hands on Ethan's arm. "We will be safe?" she asked. "Yes," Ethan said, trying to calm her and himself. "They will leave soon." After a few minutes, the shouting faded. The group moved down the block. Ethan waited a moment before opening the door. He peeked out. The street was empty except for broken glass. Lyra followed him outside. Ethan bent down and picked up a piece of sign. On it was painted, "No aliens here." He let it fall. "I'm sorry you had to see that," he said softly. Lyra looked at him with compassion. "I know some fear what they do not understand." They cleaned up the broken glass together. Neighbors came out slowly. Mrs. Jenkins carried a broom. "I'm sorry for them," she said. "They do not speak for all of us." Double quotes. Mr. Patel, another neighbor, brought trash bags. "We will help fix this," he said. "You're part of our community." Ethan and Lyra smiled at their neighbors. Kindness. Lyra felt grateful for friends who cared. Later that evening, Ethan and Lyra sat at the table. Ethan's hands trembled slightly as he poured tea. "I hate that people could hurt us," Ethan said. Lyra touched his hand. "What matters is who stands with us," Ethan nodded. "Thank you for being so brave," Lyra smiled softly. "I learned from you." They drank their tea in silence. Ethan thought of how far they had come since the day they met. Lyra was no longer just a guest. She was part of his life, part of his family. The next morning, Ethan and Lyra decided to go out into the world despite the night's events. They visited a small cafe that had offered to welcome Lyra. The owner, Mr. Gomez, greeted them at the door. He placed a plate of fresh pastries on their table. "We heard what happened," he said quietly. "People like those are few. Most of us love having you here." Lyra bowed her head. "Thank you. It means much to me," Ethan smiled. "See? Love is stronger than fear." After cafe, they walked to a community center. A sign read, "Welcome to our world." Inside, people of many backgrounds worked together on art and crafts. Lyra's eyes lit up at the colorful paintings. A young girl offered Lyra a paintbrush. "Would you like to paint with us?" the girl asked. Lyra nodded and painted a simple blue and silver design. Others gathered around, smiling at her art. Ethan watched with pride. He saw Lyra's confidence grow. That night, they returned home. Ethan cooked dinner while Lyra set the table. As they ate, Ethan's mother called. She asked about the noise last night. Ethan told her they were safe and about the neighbors' help. "I wish I was there to help." She said, "You're helping in your own way," Ethan said. "Your love supports us." After the call, Ethan looked at Lyra. "I have something for you." He went to the bedroom and brought back a small box. Inside was a simple silver bracelet etched with a small star. "I saw this and thought of you." he said. Lyra opened the box and gasped. It is beautiful. She held the bracelet. On Yulani we wear symbols of hope. This star means guidance. Ethan gently placed it on her wrist. You guide me? Lyra's eyes shone. Thank you, Ethan. Days passed and spring turned to summer. The neighborhood began to welcome them openly. Lyra started teaching basic Yulani phrases at the community center. Children laughed as they practiced the gentle sounds of her language. One afternoon, Alex visited. He greeted Lyra warmly and shook Ethan's hand. You've done well, Alex said. Lyra is happy. Lyra hugged Alex. Thank you for introducing me to Ethan. Alex looked around the street where people smiled. I see Earth can be a home. That night, Ethan and Lyra stood on the balcony. The sky was clear, and the stars shone overhead. Do you remember how you felt when we first met? Ethan asked. Lyra nodded. I was afraid but hopeful, Ethan smiled. Now we know we can face anything together. Lyra leaned on Ethan's shoulder. I am proud to call Earth my home, Ethan kissed her forehead. And I am proud to have you by my side. They watched the stars in quiet comfort, ready for tomorrow's adventures and confident that their love would guide them through any darkness. Ethan woke early on the day of the wedding. The sky was clear and the sun shone softly through the trees. Lyra was in the next room, preparing with the help of Ethan's mother. Ethan dressed in a simple suit, feeling both nervous and excited. Today would mark the start of a new life for them. Lyra stepped into the living room wearing a white dress with pale blue embroidery. The designs looked like stars and gentle waves. Ethan's mother smiled proudly. Lyra's silver blue hair was braided simply, and she wore a small crown of flowers given by Mrs. Jenkins. Ethan approached Lyra and gently took her hand. You look beautiful, he said. Lyra blushed softly. You look handsome, Ethan. They left the apartment and walked to the small garden park where they would hold the ceremony. Friends gathered in chairs arranged in a circle. Some were human neighbors and some were Yulani visitors brought by Alex. Colorful ribbons hung from the trees, and a simple arch of flowers marked the spot. Alex stood nearby with a small book. He spoke in both Yulani and English, welcoming everyone. We are here to celebrate the union of Ethan and Lyra, he began. They come from different worlds, but their love unites them. Let us witness their promise to each other. Ethan took Lyra's hands and looked into her eyes. Lyra, from the moment I met you, you changed my life. You taught me kindness, courage, and love beyond any world I knew. I promise to stand by you, to protect you, and to share every joy and challenge. Will you be my partner for life? Lyra replied in her soft voice. Ethan, you welcomed me from another world into your heart. You showed me friendship and trust. I promise to support you, to learn from you, and to share my life with you. I will be your wife and your friend. Alex smiled and spoke the final words. By the bond of our hearts and the witness of all. Here, I pronounce you husband and wife. Friends cheered and clapped. Ethan gently placed a simple band on Lyra's wrist, and Lyra gave Ethan a silver ring with a small star symbol. After the ceremony, everyone gathered for a small celebration. Tables were set with earth foods and Yulani dishes. Lyra's sweet fruit treats mixed with Ethan's homemade pie. Neighbors and Yulani visitors shared stories and laughter. Mrs. Jenkins raised her glass. To Ethan and Lyra, may your life together be full of joy and peace. Many joined the toast, including Ethan's parents, who hugged Lyra and welcomed her as family. Lyra's eyes shone with tears of happiness. Later, a gentle music played. Lyra taught the group a Yulani song. The melody was soft and carried hope. Humans tried to sing the unfamiliar words, and everyone smiled at their efforts. Then humans taught Lyra an earth dance, moving in a circle and holding hands. As evening came, lanterns glowed under the trees. Ethan led Lyra to the center. They danced slowly. Their neighbors and friends cheered and joined in. Molly, their cat, watched from a blanket nearby, her eyes reflecting the lantern light after the dance. Ethan and Lyra walked to a small table with a cake. It was simple, white with pale blue frosting. They cut the first slice together and fed each other a bite. This is delicious, Lyra said with a laugh. Ethan smiled. Just like our life sweet and shared. When the party ended, the guests left with hugs and promises to stay in touch. The garden grew quiet under the stars. Ethan and Lyra sat on a bench, holding hands. "I never imagined my life would be like this," Ethan said softly. Lyra leaned on his shoulder. "Me neither. But I cannot imagine a better life." They looked up at the sky. The stars shone brightly, and Lyra pointed out a few Yulani constellations that still glowed faintly. Ethan listened, learning the names she whispered. In the days that followed, Ethan and Lyra began their married life. They returned to their routines. Ethan went to work, and Lyra continued teaching at the community center. But now they did it as a married couple. Their home felt warmer and fuller. One evening as they cooked dinner together, Lyra said, "I feel at peace here." Ethan stirred the pot and glanced at her. "I feel at home with you." They shared a smile. Outside, the world moved on with its own challenges, but inside their home, there was love and unity. Months later, Alex visited again. He brought news of new interplanetary agreements. He said Earth and Yulani would work together on cultural exchanges and shared research. Lyra would play a role as a cultural ambassador. Ethan listened with pride. "That's wonderful news," Lyra hugged Alex. "Thank you for bringing me here." Alex turned to Ethan. "You two have shown that friendship between worlds is possible." Ethan nodded. "We have each other." As Alex left, Ethan and Lyra held hands at the door. The future looked bright. That night, they sat outside on their porch, Molly curled at their feet. They watched the stars and spoke of dreams. "I want to travel to Yulani someday," Ethan said. Lyra smiled. "I will take you when the time is right." Ethan touched her hand. "And I will learn your language fully." Lyra leaned in and whispered, "I will learn Earth's ways too." They sat in silent promise, two hearts from different worlds beating as one. Their story had begun with a gift, but it continued by choice, a choice to love, to learn, and to build a future together. And under the endless stars, they knew this was only the beginning of their adventure.